Picture this. You ask an AI a really complex question.
Mm-hmm.
You finally get it to understand your exact parameters. And then you close the tab.
And the context is just gone.
Exactly. When you come back the next day, it has completely forgotten you. You have to explain the whole backstory all over again.
It's incredibly draining. You spend all your cognitive energy just prepping the machine.
It is the amnesiac AI problem. I still wrestle with prompt fatigue typing the same background info over and over.
Yeah, absolutely. We all do.
Right. Well, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are exploring Gemini Notebooks. We're looking at how this upgrades your AI experience. It takes it from a temporary, fleeting chat into a permanent knowledge base.
Yeah, a massive shift.
We will explore how you seamlessly merge your own private documents with your chat history.
Yeah.
And, we'll build a roadmap so you can actually start using this today. Okay, let's unpack this.
To really appreciate this shift, we have to look at the baseline. Standard AI chats are entirely independent from one another. Every single time you hit New Chat, you get a blank slate. The AI has zero memory of who you are. It has zero context about your ongoing projects.
It is a massive friction point, Beat. You spend 20 minutes just setting up the context. You feed it the rules. You tell it what you want.
Yeah.
By the time it's ready, you're just exhausted.
Yeah, well, you normally spend the first 5 minutes just re-educating the AI before you even get to your actual question. Gemini Notebooks fundamentally solves this exact problem.
Okay, how?
It groups your ongoing topics together into dedicated spaces. It acts as a personal, evolving knowledge base. And the best part is how it stays perfectly synced between Gemini and NotebookLM.
NotebookLM being Google's research assistant that only reads what you upload, synced across both platforms. That is a crucial detail for anyone managing complex research.
It really is. And the scale of this has changed massively recently.
How so?
Previously, with Gemini's Google's older system for saving custom chatbot personas, you had a strict 10-file limit.
Wow.
Yeah, it was heavily bottlenecked. Now, if you are on the Pro plan, a single notebook can contain up to 300 sources.
2 sec silence. That is just a staggering amount of data to process at once.
Whoa, imagine dropping up to 300 specific sources into one brain and just, understand.
It completely changes the scope of what a single person can analyze. I mean, I know people are going to want this immediately. Let's talk about availability really quickly.
Currently, it's rolling out to paid users on the web interface. That includes Google AI Ultra, Google's top-tier subscription plan for advanced models.
Got it.
It also includes the Pro and Plus tiers. But it is expanding to mobile and free users in the coming weeks.
Okay, so how does the sync between Gemini and NotebookLM actually work?
They share the exact same ecosystem. Any source you add in Gemini automatically appears in NotebookLM and vice versa.
So they are essentially the same shared brain, just accessed from 2 different doors.
That is exactly it. They share the same underlying architecture.
So we understand the conceptual shift, but how do we actually build one of these things? I want to know how to transition without losing all the work I've already done.
Setting it up is actually really intuitive. You just fire up Gemini in your browser, and right there on the left, you'll spot a New Notebooks tab. You just click New Notebook to get started.
I assume naming it is more important than it sounds.
Oh, it's incredibly vital. The AI relies heavily on boundaries. You must name it by a very specific topic. Good examples would be buying headphones 2025 or Dalat trip in May.
So not just my trip or stuff, Beat. You need precision here.
Yes. A notebook works best when it has one clearly defined focus area. You should never dump your entire life into one notebook. Keep it tightly scoped.
Okay. But what about all my previous research? Like, I have months of scattered chats about my upcoming trip. Do I lose all of that context?
Not at all. This is actually where it gets brilliant. You do not need to start from scratch. You can migrate your old scattered chats directly into the newly created notebook.
That saves a massive headache. How does that migration actually work?
You literally just click the 3 dots next to any old chat. You select the option to add it to a notebook. Then you pick your target destination.
Just like that.
Yep. The chat disappears from your chaotic main list and lives securely inside the notebook.
I feel like a lot of people might skip that step. They just want to play with the new toy.
They probably will. But skipping it is a huge mistake. Moving those old chats gives the AI its immediate baseline context. You don't have to retype a single parameter.
That leads us directly into the magic of notebook memory, a feature keeping context from all previous conversations active. This changes the daily workflow entirely. It allows for incredibly short, almost lazy prompts.
This is the feature most people find truly mind-blowing. The AI is constantly maintaining the context from all the previous conversations inside that specific notebook. It acts as an ambient listener.
Let's ground this with a real-world scenario. Let's look at the IELTS exam preparation example from our sources.
Perfect scenario. Imagine you've been chatting with the AI about your study schedule for weeks. You already told it your target goal is a 6.5 band score.
Right.
You explicitly discussed your specific weaknesses in writing task 2 and listening section 3.
In a normal amnesiac AI chat, you have to type all of that out again every single morning.
Exactly. You would be typing a massive repetitive paragraph before getting to work. But with notebook memory, you just open a fresh chat inside your IELTS notebook. You simply type, which part should I focus on this week?
And it just knows. It remembers the 6.5 goal. It remembers the struggle with writing task 2.
It knows everything because it actively read all those previous interactions. Your daily prompts become incredibly short. It works flawlessly for projects that span days, weeks, or even months.
I want to push back on something here, though. Just organizing chats into separate folders is not exactly revolutionary. We've had folders on our computers for decades.
That is true. A folder just holds dead files.
Right. But the AI actually reading all of those files at once is fundamentally different. It's like stacking Lego blocks of data. Every chat builds the foundation higher.
That is a perfect analogy. The foundation keeps growing denser and more personalized with every single interaction.
Does this memory feature turn on automatically, or do I need to dig into settings?
It is on by default, but you always have the control to go into the settings and toggle it off if you want a fresh start.
Got it. Memory is automatic, but you always have the kill switch if needed.
Exactly. You are always the one curating what the AI remembers.
So memory is obviously fantastic for our own chats, but what happens when we need the AI to analyze objective outside facts?
Yeah.
We need it to look at external reality, not just our own scattered thoughts.
This is where we see the true knowledge base upgrade. You can easily pull outside source materials directly into your notebook's ecosystem.
What kind of external files are supported here?
It's highly versatile. You could drop in massive PDFs or Word documents. You can link directly to your Google Drive files.
Nice.
You can paste public website URLs. You can even drop in YouTube video links, and it will read the transcripts.
Let's go back to that buying headphones 2025 example. Buying tech can be an overwhelming rabbit hole.
Oh, absolutely. So you are researching high-end noise-canceling headphones. You start uploading deep dive review links from trusted tech sites, sites like RDNZ or The Verge. Then you upload your own personal budget spreadsheet.
You are basically building a custom library. And then you ask it a question.
Right. You just casually type, compare the Sony WH-1000XM5 and the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra based on the documents I added. Prioritize noise cancellation and battery life.
And the beauty here is the restraint. The answer comes strictly from your curated, trusted materials. It does not pull random sponsored junk from the open internet.
Well, we need to clarify a key distinction between the two interfaces here. If you ask that inside Gemini, it actually combines your uploaded documents with its live web search.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it gives a very blended, comprehensive result.
But NotebookLM handles it differently.
Yes. NotebookLM functions as a closed-loop sandbox. It strictly uses only the documents you explicitly provide. It refuses to hallucinate outside information. The two approaches complement each other perfectly, depending on your needs. The sources do give a pretty stark warning about source quality, though.
Yeah, you really have to protect the integrity of your notebook. Do not dilute your results by uploading low-quality random blogs. You should stick to 2 or 3 highly trusted sources when starting out. Quality over quantity.
So we've got all this great data pooled together, and the AI remembers it perfectly. But what if I don't just want a simple text response? What if I actually need to present this information visually?
What's fascinating here is how NotebookLM Studio bridges that gap. It is a workspace that turns your saved notes into visual presentations. You can instantly generate slide decks, comprehensive mind maps, structured data tables, and even study flashcards.
And the massive update is where it pulls that data from. Exactly. Previously, the Studio environment only looked at your hard uploaded files. Now, it pulls from both the uploaded files and your highly personal Gemini chats inside that notebook. It blends the objective data with your subjective context.
Let's bring back the IELTS prep scenario to visualize this.
Okay, you open up NotebookLM Studio, you select the slide deck option, you just tell it, create a 4-week study plan based on my weaknesses, prioritizing writing and listening.
It builds a full, structured presentation, beat, but it is using your raw, messy chat history about struggling with writing task 2.
Yes, the output is entirely bespoke to your reality. It is not some generic cookie-cutter plan scraped from an SEO farm website. It understands your exact hurdles and schedules around them.
If the output in NotebookLM Studio feels too generic or too broad, how do I fix that?
You can literally check or uncheck individual sources on the left side, uncheck files to narrow it down, or add more chat history for personalized flavor.
Makes sense. Too broad, reduce the files. Too generic, add more personal chat history.
You are essentially playing DJ with your own data sources. You mix the levels until it is perfect. Sponsor. Keeping track of complex, multi-layered projects can feel incredibly overwhelming, especially when you are juggling a dozen different sources of information. That is why having the right organizational tools is absolutely crucial for maintaining your focus and actually achieving your long-term goals efficiently.
We have explored how to feed data in. We have seen how to pull structured summaries out. Let's push this to the absolute limit. We can actually use the notebook as an automated, frictionless tracking log.
This is where everything converges. It seamlessly combines your daily chats, the ambient memory, the system instructions, and the studio output into one workflow.
It all starts with the instructions feature. This is essentially where you define the AI's core personality and role.
You just dip into the notebook settings. You'll find a dedicated instructions section. Let's imagine you were building a notebook called Reading 2025. You want to track everything you read this year.
What exactly do you type into that instruction box?
You give it a very clear directive. You tell it, your role is to help me track books I read this year. Every time I mention a book, save the title, the date I finished it, my 1 to 10 rating, and my biggest takeaway lesson.
Here's where it gets really interesting. 2-sec silence. You don't have to fill out a spreadsheet ever again. You just drop in raw, messy thoughts whenever you have them.
That is the magic. Months later, you are sitting on your couch. You open the chat and just loosely type, just finished Atomic Habits today, April 23, give it a 9 out of 10. Biggest lesson is that small habits compounding create massive changes.
You don't worry about formatting. You don't open Excel. You just talk to it naturally.
The AI quietly processes it. It extracts the structured data you defined in the instructions. It remembers every single entry as the year goes on.
And then, when you are ready, you turn that raw conversational chat log into a rigid data structure.
You hop over to NotebookLM Studio. You select the data table format. You simply ask it to generate a comprehensive table, tracking your year of books, demanding the title, date, rating, and lesson columns.
It builds the table instantly, and you can export that straight into Google Sheets with one click.
Yes, and you can push the visual aspect even further. You can ask the studio to generate a colorful visual infographic. You simply tell it to compare the volume of books you read month by month.
You get a beautiful visual journey of your intellectual year, and it was all generated from a few scattered late-night chat messages.
It takes your unstructured human rambling, extracts the hard data, and renders beautiful visual images, all without leaving that single, unified system.
When generating that infographic, should I include my uploaded files or just the chat logs?
For personal tracking, uncheck the file sources. You only want the AI pulling from your specific Gemini chat logs to build that graphic.
Perfect. Uncheck outside files so the infographic relies purely on my own reading logs.
Exactly. Keep the data pool completely isolated. The resulting infographic will be deeply accurate to your actual life.
We have covered a massive amount of capability here, beat. But knowledge is useless without application. Let's distill all of this into a highly actionable blueprint for your weekend.
Our sources provide a really elegant roadmap to get this integrated into your life quickly.
It starts with picking the right target. You need to choose a recurring, heavy-lift topic. It could be passing a certification exam, hunting for a new house, or tracking a complex health journey. It has to be something you return to repeatedly.
Right. Once you have that topic, you create the dedicated notebook. And crucially, you immediately migrate your relevant old chats into it.
Yeah.
You have to give the AI its historical context.
Then you just verify your foundations, double-check that notebook memory is actively turned on in your settings so it actually listens over time.
Next, you seed the knowledge base. Add 2 to 3 incredibly high-quality external documents. Maybe a highly trusted white paper, your own meticulously typed notes, or a dense YouTube lecture.
Keep the quality high.
Exactly, and do not overload it with junk.
Then you give it a purpose. You write a brief 3 to 4 sentence instruction in the settings. You explicitly define the AI's exact job description. Tell it who you are, what the goal is, and how it should respond.
Finally, you just start using it naturally. Lean into those incredibly short prompts. Just ask it, what is my logical next step? Or where am I failing right now?
The sources emphasize a very specific timeline for this adoption phase.
They do. They note that after roughly 1 to 2 weeks of consistent interaction, the output completely diverges from a standard AI chat. The responses become hyper-personalized.
Wow.
Yeah, it stops feeling like software and starts feeling entirely different.
If we connect this to the bigger picture,
We are witnessing a fundamental shift. AI is no longer functioning as just a glorified search engine. It is rapidly transitioning. It is becoming a deeply embedded, true cognitive partner.
right.
It possesses a permanent, evolving memory. It genuinely understands the nuanced architecture of your specific long-term projects. Out to your own music.
We covered a profound technological shift today. You are moving away from the friction of temporary amnesiac chats into the leverage of a permanent knowledge base. You are learning to seamlessly merge pristine external documents with your own messy human chat history. And you are walking away with a concrete blueprint to start organizing your most complex ambitions.
It really forces you to completely reimagine how you interact with digital information.
It really does, really deep. But I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to chew on.
Okay.
If an AI can perfectly remember every single detail, every nuanced preference, and every hidden weakness of your multi-month project, at what point does your Gemini notebook stop being just a productivity tool and start becoming a literal digital twin of your own thought process?
That is a profoundly deep question to consider as these systems scale.
Try creating your very first notebook this weekend for your next major goal. Experience the absolute relief of feeling like the machine truly understands your context. So what does this all mean? It means your time is yours again. End deep dive.